When showing students how to hold the flute, I start with the pinkies, just like I did on the previous video about the pedagogy of holding the flute. So, to reiterate, the right hand, we put the pinky down, and then we simply follow one key at a time with fingers 3, 2, and 1. The thumb gets placed underneath and just barely to the left of that index finger. And then we move to the left hand. We put the pinky on the lever, and we follow with 3, 2, we skip a key, and then the index finger goes on this smaller key. The thumb has two choices here on the thumb keys, and we put it on the one that's a little further to the right. And then we bring the base of the index finger in against the flute as its point of contact. Now then, it's very, very important with beginning flutists to keep reiterating and having them working on keeping their fingers nice and centered on the keys, and to keep them relaxed overall, to focus on holding the flute instead of clutching it. And as they move between different fingerings, to focus on keeping the fingers nice and close. By keeping them centered and close, it just really helps their technical development over time. Now, often in regards to holding the flute, one of the very, very common problems I see is that of the leaning right hand. Many, many students start to lean to the right, more like this. And there are various reasons and various sort of problems for this. The first problem is that by leaning on these rods, they can actually, that pressure can cause issues that they'll need to take in and have repaired. Also, by leaning, it's pulling this finger further away from that key, and at whatever point they might choose to step up to an open hole flute, they're going to have trouble holding that, or covering that hole. At the same time, it's pulling them away from the foot joint. So while they might be able to play this lever here, it makes it really, really difficult to reach these keys to play low D flat and C flat. Now, in order to work on this, the first thing I do is just go back to the most natural hand position. I have students shake their hand out really good and then drop it totally limp at their side. Then I ask them to watch me first, and what we're going to do is bring the hand up, keeping it limp. Now at this point the wrist is going to be a bit bent, but we're going to fix that soon. And then when they do this, they notice a few things about the hand. First of all, they notice these three fingers are relatively close, which is very convenient since those three keys are relatively close. By just curving their fingers a little more, they can take that natural position right over to the flute. Then the pinky, of course, being a little bit shorter, that's why we turned the foot joint a bit closer, fits very nicely to that key. And then simply by curving the hand a little bit, they can bring their thumb right underneath. And then the fingers are very, very nice and perpendicular to the flute. Now, of course, this gets a bit harder when they're bringing their flute out to the right. They feel like they're reaching a ways, which is part of the reason this leaning happens. So what I have students do is start from that good shaken out position, nice and perpendicular to the keys, and I have them think of leading with their wrist. Sometimes I'll literally kind of hold by the wrist and bring their hand out to show them that it doesn't have to reach and turn to the right. And by leading with the wrist, they can very, very much keep that nice perpendicular fingers to the keys set up.